So, Ed, the footage from that Air Alaska flight has surprised people around the world, but I gather it didn't surprise you. Why is that?
Yes, sadly, it wasn't a surprise. I've been closely monitoring the MAX airplane, and my colleagues have been as well. And we have seen a lot of issues that have occurred that the public is unaware of. And there's been, over 20 serious production quality defects that have come to light since the plane went back in service. So, uh, you know, I guess the big surprise is that we weren't surprised.
So, forgive me, as a layperson here, we hear that it's been reported that loose hardware has been found on multiple MAX 9s, and I guess I'm left wondering, how does that happen? How do you get loose hardware on a plane?
Well, this is all comes down to quality control, right? You may think that it's like some robotic facility, but it's really individuals that are doing individual skilled work. And so if those individuals are rushed, or if they're tired, or if they're inexperienced, or if they don't have good supervision, all those factors can play into making mistakes. And the way the planes are built, if a person makes a mistake, that mistake can continue to be made. And, but this is really completely unacceptable. It makes you wonder what other things might be loose and not connected properly in the airplane.
Well, no kidding, and that's a terrifying thought. But if I can just back up a little bit, is there a problem with staffing numbers? I mean, like every other industry, are there staff shortages? Like, what's actually happening on the floor?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I understand that they're hiring. Boeing is hiring somewhat like somewhere around 150 to new employees every month for that factory. And so we lost a lot of experience, people like a lot of industries, and you just can't replace a 20-year mechanic with, somebody who just came in and took 8 weeks of training. So that's a big problem. But most importantly, there's this pressure from corporate headquarters to produce airplanes. There's this huge demand for airplanes. We get these airplanes out the door as fast as possible, make as much money as possible. And, that's not really how you want to build airplanes.
You said something in previous answer that I'm still thinking about. You said it makes you wonder what else might be going on with those planes. I can tell you that I'm imagining people watching what's happening with Air Alaska and thinking, not just those planes, but what else do I need to be worried about, either in the whole MAX series or in other aircraft? What should we be looking at?
Well, first of all, people should be demanding that the regulatory authorities, not just the FAA, but Transport Canada, for example, needs to do a much more oversight. And what we should be looking for is that employees are well rested, they're well trained. There's not this, the measuring isn't how many planes get out the door, it's how many high quality planes go out the door. There's a lot of pieces of this. There's leadership, failures. There's regulatory oversight failures, and at the very front level, if you're an employee and you see something, you need to speak up. And what we've found is that employees are fearful to speak up.
I would imagine that Boeing might push back at some of these suggestions, right, and say that they're going to be investigating further, and it's too early to say this is about quality control. But we do know that they're having, an all hands on deck safety meeting, or have had one today. Any sense of what emerged from that? Because as a flyer, when I hear all hands on deck safety meeting, I feel a little better. I feel like they're on top of it.
I can understand that from a flyer perspective, but the truth of the matter is that CEO should be in the factory a heck of a lot more than he is. I mean, making a big deal, going out and visiting the factory after a significant incident and, talking about safety, it's a lot different than actually doing it. When you have multiple malfunctions occurring, that can cause saturation of the flight crew, and you add other factors to it like high terrain, bad weather, et cetera. I know I'm not allaying people's concerns. What I'm trying to say is the passengers shouldn't have to worry about this stuff, right? And so Boeing needs to go back to building planes like they built many years ago and stop looking at stock price, stop looking at how many planes are delivered, but focus on the quality. Several hundred people working on these airplanes individually. And as I testified, and as we talked about for many years, if employee makes a mistake or the part's not there, I mean, this is just a recipe for disaster. And thankfully, this incident should serve as an absolutely gigantic wake-up call and cause people to stop and think, just because the company is saying that the planes are safe, there's a lot of evidence indicating otherwise.
Okay, Ed Pierson, we'll be talking again for sure. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.